Facebook. Good middle of the day. It's 12 o'clock. This is Chrishna here, woman to woman in the house. Haven't seen you good folks in a minute. But of course, you know, it's now January 2021. And as I always do, I felt led to continue my, what I like to call empowerment of us women, especially in our quest called life. If you're hearing me, because I'm not seeing it on my phone, I want to make sure I'm live before I continue with any further content. And I'm not seeing a notification that I am. So just checking that out. Are you? Okay, why can't I see that I'm live? So I need to like refresh my page maybe and see what's going on. Yep, there we go. Alright, okay, y'all, I'm a big techie, but listen, women, men, all the Facebookers out there, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I pray that as the year continues, I pray love and light to you all. And again, Women to Women is going to continue with the quest of keeping it real, people. This is real talk. And we are here to discuss something that I just can't believe we never ever discuss. You know, I'm going to own it. I'm going to own it this morning, ladies. I'm going to keep it real with you. And for most of you who know me, you know that I speak about mental health quite a bit, that I've had and continue to have my own personal journey with that. And one of the things that I have discovered throughout the years of dealing with that is also the fact that I am 47 years young. There, I said it. 47, okay? Yeah, I remember when I was 20. But I'm 47, and that my body is definitely not feeling like my own. So, of course, you know, it got me thinking, you know, what's happening, what's going on, why all of a sudden I felt like I went from this robust, healthy 30-plus-year-old to just every other day feeling some type of symptom, feeling some type of pain, feeling something weird. And the list just goes on and on. And this is in addition to the anxiety, depression, the mood swings. And, you know, at this point, I did some research. And I am led to believe that, and this is going to, like, I'm in menopause, right? I think that's what's happening. I am what I think doctors would term perimenopausal. So today, ladies, I don't want us to be afraid of this. I want to bring this to the forefront because, again, I just don't understand that this is such a prevalent part of women's lives. I am just astounded that this is not something that is addressed even more by medical health professionals, more by women themselves who go through it, even by churches and just all the different platforms that we have. I'm amazed, I'm aghast that this is not something that is addressed, and that is the stages of menopause in women. And this is the thing, this is what is so crazy. Most of us are going to experience this. This is a part of life. Just like we experienced puberty, right? And we grew and we transitioned from a child into a young woman or a young man. Here we are now going through another transition in our lives. And I'm thinking, like, what's going on here? Did nobody ever experience anything like this before? Why did this kind of hit me like a ton of bricks? I felt like all of a sudden this came out of nowhere. And so now I'm forced to educate myself because, as I've told you many, many times on this show, knowledge is power. And once we have that power, we can now empower ourselves to lead a better life. And considering the havoc, the mayhem, the distress that going through menopause places on a woman's life, I'm shocked that this is something that we don't do. And I want to hear your thoughts, ladies. I know it's Saturday, it's the middle of the day. I'm hoping you're home chilling, so you can chime in, make whatever comments. If you have suggestions as to how you're dealing with what you're going through, because this is real. This is real, chicks. I mean, I've talked to several of you, and this is, we women, I mean, we're getting it. When I really see Eve, I really need to like jump kick her. Because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have to endure all of this suffering. I thought to myself when I had my babies that it was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done with that part now, done with my childbearing now, it's sailing time. And here I am, 42, starting at 42, 43 now. Life seems to take a different turn. So what I'm going to do today, ladies, just for some of us out there who may not know what's going on with our bodies, may not know what's going on with our minds, I'm just going to give you just a few bits of information that relate directly to menopause and how it affects us and how it even affects us emotionally. Do y'all realize that this menopause has actually sent some women literally out of their minds? And yes, it sounds extreme, but that is the truth. And you will come across people that has happened to. So I think like there's no way that this is something that we shouldn't address. Okay, so I'm going to start with the medical terms. Menopause really is technically the term used for a woman that has not seen her period for 12 months or more. That's what the experts say. Now, before menopause and before the actual stop of that period, there is a period that they call the perimenopausal period. And this is where I think a lot of us take licks. And this is where I've taken a lot of licks myself. But this is the perimenopausal period, and this is the period prior to that cycle actually coming to a stop. There is also a postmenopausal period that occurs after the cycle is stopped, but for the most part, it does seem like, to me anyway, the perimenopausal part of the whole process of menopause can be the most challenging for a lot of women. So technically, that is what the terminology is. If you ask a doctor, am I in menopause, he's going to ask you, have you missed your period for more than 12 months? If you say no, he's going to say no, you're not in menopause. But really, it's the perimenopausal stages that I find that wreak the most havoc on women's lives. And even after the actual menopause occurs, then there's a postmenopausal stage. So, quick facts. It seems like menopause can start anywhere or can begin anywhere from the age of 40 to 58 years of age. Now, saying that, some women can start a bit earlier, believe it or not, earlier than 40. But I think 58, 60 max is like the cap for a woman actually transitioning into full menopause. Now, the average age for most women to actually go through menopause, that means those periods stop completely, is around 51 years old. That's the average age. But prior to the 51, now, a lot of us will start to experience the symptoms of perimenopause, menopause. But for the sake of being very medically correct, perimenopausal. So, perimenopause, what I'm talking about, can actually start 8 to 10 years before menopause. I mean, like, can you believe that crap? 8 to 10 years before your period actually stops and you're officially in menopause, you can start to experience these symptoms. Now again, and this is all based on statistical data that I've retrieved from various sources, right? That you can also research for yourself. Perimenopausal symptoms last an average of around 4 years, but it can last up to 10 years before the period actually stops. So for you ladies who hitting the big 40, right? And you know they got this saying, 40 and fabulous. And I don't mean to be a hater, right? But man, you know, your girl got to keep it real. I have to keep it real. And I don't know if we always feeling 40 and fabulous. Because shortly after 40, things felt like they just started to go haywire in my life. And I have discussed this with several friends, several family members, women that I know, and they have experienced similar stuff. So even though 40 is definitely, you know, a fabulous time in our lives and the beginning of a new era, it also is gonna most likely come with the beginning of perimenopausal symptoms. Now we got some lucky gals out there, and I say lucky because they're the ones that somehow will experience little to no symptoms. And my data tells me that that's about 20 to 30% of women will have a good old time. They'll just sail through, and then one day their period will just stop. And life will be good, and they will have little to no disruption in their daily way of living. I actually know a friend or two, I think it's 2 women that I know, at the good old age of 46 years old, they were done. They were not even aware that they were going through menopause, and by 46, their period had stopped completely. So to you lucky gals out there who experienced that, yoo-hoo! But for the rest of us, myself included, who's currently 47 years of age, and in the heat of perimenopausal symptoms, that is not the case. So for the next 70 to 80% of women, that is not what's going on. We're going through it, and we're going through it thick, and it's rough. It's a wild ride, and it's coming with so many changes and so many upheavals and so many different things in our bodies and our minds. And literally it is sending some women crazy. Some women actually are losing their minds. So you may say, well, how do I know if I'm going through menopause, right? So I'm going to give you just a few of the more common symptoms. Most of us, some of us know, because some of us have conversations with our mothers. And just as another bit of information, looking at your mother or an older sister is a good indication to you as to how you are actually going to go through the process of perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal, because apparently, for whatever reason, studies have been done, and it does seem as if women will transition into menopause very much the same way their mothers did or older sisters did. That seems to be the general consensus of the medical profession. So that's a good starting point for some of you. You feel like, you know what, maybe you're 40, 41, you're starting to notice some things. You know, if mom is still with you or if you have an older sister, you can check that out and educate yourself. And the purpose, again, of this show is to educate us, right? Education, knowledge is power, right? And we don't want to be in denial, women, because, you know, the reality of it is no man is able to control the hands of time. That is far beyond our scope of expertise. Getting older is nothing that we can stop. We can try, we can do the plastic surgeries, we can go to the gym, we can work out, we can use the concealer, the foundation, we can do the makeup, we can dye the gray hairs. But the reality of it is that body is getting older. No matter what you say, no matter what you think, that is the reality of life, and that is the circle and cycle of life. That is just the way the Creator has our lifespan planned out here on earth. So I don't want you to be in denial, because you don't want to be in denial. Knowledge is power, okay? So how do you know if you are possibly perimenopausal? Or if you're, the old folk, my mom them used to say, changing life. How do you know if you're changing life, right? And I really want some comments, man. I'm seeing some views, but I'm not seeing any comments, ladies. I want y'all to be shame, I'm not seeing I want y'all to be shame. I want y'all, share, because this is how we're going to empower each other. This is how we're going to make each other better. This is how we're going to help each other live a fulfilling life. Because I am really burdened by this when I consider that so many women who experience menopause, by the time they're done, their lives are in shambles. Some women, their marriages are over. Some of them, their minds are so far gone, it's hard to get it back. And, major upheavals in their life occur. You know, there have been even some women who they've said have lost their life during this process. So it's not something to be taken lightly. Now, how do we know that, okay, you know, look like we're going through the little perimenopausal thing? One of the first things is mood changes. Now, a lot of times this is not the more common one discussed, but it's actually a very prevalent symptom of perimenopausal symptoms. And this is because of all of the, you know, I'm not a doctor, and you're free to do all this research, but all the fluctuation in the hormone levels brings about all of these changes in your body. You would be shocked at just, I actually never knew before this, the value that hormones played in just the overall operation of our body. And our mood is a big thing. And to me, mood, even when you say mood changes, it sounds so cavalier, right? But we're talking about women experiencing sometimes mild bouts of depression, sometimes severe bouts of depression that actually can require medical assistance, and in some cases even medication, depending on that circumstance. Then we're talking about anxiety. Some women find that they become very fearful. Some women find that they start to have panic attacks. Some women find that they are very irritable. Some women find that they experience rages or fits of anger. And all of these things, I mean, I know you're all feeling it. I know you, oh Lord, my husband said especially against their husband. And that's not necessarily incorrect, because the imbalance of hormones puts your emotional state in such an upheaval that all of those mood changes I just mentioned can happen, and they can be from mild to severe to debilitating to totally bringing distress upon your life. So mood changes. If you notice that all of a sudden, you know, you're flying off the handle for no reason, like, okay, your kid did something, your child did something, it wasn't that big of a deal what they did, but you know, you're angry, you know, you're upset, I mean, you're in a rage, you're raging at your family all the time. Take a step back, see what's happening. See, even if it's happening, sometimes it can happen, you know, a week or two before the period is due, and then you will start to notice the changes. Are you now finding that you're becoming depressed? You can't really pinpoint why, but your mood is just low. You're losing interest in activities. Your appetite is decreasing. You know, you're just in a real slump. You know, check it out. If that anxiety is rising, if all of a sudden, you know, you've never had panic attacks and you find it, wow, this is causing you to have a panic attack, or that is causing you to have a panic attack, or you're just experiencing anxiety as a whole, again, this could actually be related to menopause. And this is one of the reasons I address this, because being a mental health advocate, right, we cannot ignore what can possibly be one of the major reasons that as a woman, especially in your 40s, you can really start to feel as if you're losing your mind. And a phrase that I've heard a lot of women say is, I just feel like I have no control. I feel like I'm losing it. You know, I don't know what to say. I just feel really like I'm losing my mind. And if you feel like that sometimes, then it may be time for you to really try and get a bit more proactive about, okay, what is happening to me and what can I do to help myself with this situation. And that, well, that's a topic for another show, but we don't have time to go into that. But at least, you know, by you knowing and recognizing that something is out of the ordinary, you can work toward it. Now, urinary incontinence, I mean, who ever thought of that? Okay, apparently it messes with your bladder muscles, and for those of us women who've had several children, you know, your pelvic floor can become weak, and all the hormones can thin out the bladder lining. Like, I mean, really, I just had no clue all of these things can happen. So you can start to experience urinary incontinence, going to the bathroom too much, sneezing and peeing, leakage, stuff like that can start to happen. You can, of course, we all know about the night sweats. And what the night sweats can do is they can disrupt your sleep. You know, it's cold, you wake up in the middle of the night, you're just sweating and sweating and sweating. And then you also have that brings about the trouble sleeping. You know, all of a sudden now you're 43 or 44 and you know, you're just having problems sleeping. You slept like a log all your life, and now you know you're just having problems getting to sleep at night. It's becoming a problem. This can also be related to menopause. Now, on top of that, you can experience a lot of other sexual discomforts, and by that we mean, you know, for you women, we grown, so I'll just say it. You know, the vaginal area can become very dry. You can experience something they call vaginal atrophy, and that's something that you can actually go and look up if you need more information. So you can experience a significant decrease in your sex drive. So, you know, there's a lot of sexual discomfort and sexual problems that can come also from menopause. And then, of course, in addition to the night sweats that I mentioned earlier, we know we have the hot flashes. Okay? So, the hot flashes, I think that's one of the more common ones, and it's one of the more recognizable ones. Periods of intense heat. It can last anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes. But it's periods of intense heat. So, ladies, again, if you're experiencing this stuff, don't be in denial. Go check it out. See how you can help yourself. There are a few things that can be done in some cases to help you cope with this season of your life. Okay, so that is just some of the ways if you start experiencing these things. And then there's the bleeding. Some women, the monthly bleeding starts to reduce, and then some, the monthly bleeding starts to increase. So all of a sudden your periods are extremely heavy, really out of control. Okay, that is probably something you need to take a look at. See what's going on, check out your doctor. And chances are, if you're in your 40s and this is just starting to happen, chances are it's perimenopausal. And listen, there are so many other symptoms. I may try and get to some of them. I was trying to see, I had some of them on my phone, but it's like it's like a lot of stuff. You can have dry skin, dry eyes, dry mouth. You can have breast tenderness, and you can have, like I said, the regular periods. You can have racing heart, like really racing heart. You can have headaches, joint and muscle aches and pains, and this one, difficulty concentrating, like memory lapses. I think some people, they kind of call it brain fog, where like they're normally temporary. It's nothing that lasts, but you know, you can become in some cases very forgetful, and you can have a real difficulty concentrating sometimes on what it is that you need to do. And all of this, you can have weight gain. All of a sudden you're gaining weight, no reason, no change in your lifestyle, but you're gaining weight. And then, you know, you can also have hair loss, or you can have thinning of your hair. Again, there's no reason for it. But this is all a sign that, you know, the ovaries are producing less estrogen, and as a result of that, we're just having these ups and downs and these fluctuations in you know, our hormones. So listen, it's crazy. So, you know, okay, knowledge is all right. Okay, I see my people watching. I'm going to try and get to the comments in a minute. So, you know, there's a lot that you can experience that can be attributed to menopause, lady. It's crazy, because I think, unfortunately, with menopause, you know, your life seems to feel out of control. Like every day you're feeling something that you haven't felt before. Now, not to say that if you're feeling anything unusual in your body, like stuff like I mentioned before, like the racing heart, the headaches, the joint pains, you don't want to just ignore these things now. You want to go and get yourself checked. But I'm only saying to you that if you just start experiencing a lot of stuff in your body, chances are, you know, you're experiencing some type of menopause. And unfortunately, the jury is still out with menopause. When I say that, it does seem like, oh, let me turn my volume down there. it does seem like there's not enough information. I don't find that there is even enough doctors that address all of the core concerns of this, so that we as women can have the type of guidance that we need, because it's a real upheaval in our lives. So, you know, this is why I want to talk about this today. I see you, Maria. I see you, Ms. Patton, and all of you watching. Thank you for tuning in. Share this video. Share the information with all the women that you know. There's a lot of us mature women who are 40 and over entering this phase of our life, and it's very important, I think, that we be knowledgeable about what comes with being perimenopausal, what comes with menopause, what comes with being postmenopause, so that we can, above all, have our mental faculties where they need to be. Because if you don't know what's going on with your body, this stuff could really, really drive you crazy. You're gonna feel like, you could feel like a crazy person because of the different changes. So I just wanted to come on. I wanted to start, start the new year with this, because this is something that I myself, I'm personally experiencing. And I'm just shocked, like I said, that this is not being given more attention worldwide, that this is not being given more attention in our country, that women going through menopause, it's almost like, oh, she's going through the change, you know, very flippant, very nonchalant attitude that society, even some of the doctors have towards it. In the meanwhile, women's lives are being totally destroyed. You know, many women, I have women that have told me that by the time they came out of menopause, their marriage was over. Why? Because they didn't know what was going on. They had no guidance. Their mates didn't know what was going on. There was no way to deal with this or handle this problem. So, you know, this can't be taken lightly, you know. And when you're talking about even dealing with the ravages of anxiety and depression, that alone is enough to turn your entire life upside down. And to think that that could originate, not saying that in all cases it does, just saying that if you're 40 plus and you're starting to experience this, it may be worth taking a serious look at this. I actually have women that are like 70 plus that have spoken to me and have said to me, you know what, Chrishna, and I have no biological evidence to back this up. I'm only going by the experiences of women that I've interacted with, who have said to me that, you know, all of the mental challenges that I have been experiencing, they truly feel is because I'm changing life. I'm not going to say unequivocally that that is the case, but I am definitely not going to discard it either, because for me, a lot of my mental upheaval occurred 41, 42. I'm now 47. I'm going to be 48 this year, so I'm headed for the big God Spares Life 50. And what did I say is the average age for menopause? 51. And what is the average age for perimenopausal symptoms to start? 40. So it's not far-fetched. That's what, you know, that is what may have been happening. So I just want to encourage you ladies out there, you know, don't be afraid to embrace what you're going through, to educate yourself, to go to the doctors, to just make sure that you are aware of what's going on in your body. We have to be proactive, and I find that no one else is going to do that for us. So you have to be in charge of your health. You have to be in charge of your mental health. You have to educate yourself, because that is really the only way that you are going to come out of this successfully. And, you know, we don't want to be coming out of this with a divorce, or we don't want to be coming out of this with a job loss, or all of the things that can really occur, that we don't want to be coming out of this with a chronic condition. You know, we want to come out of this transitional period in our life successfully. So the first step, in my view, is knowledge. I'm just going to encourage you to think a bit about that. Share this video. We're going to be uploading this to YouTube as well, so I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel, and just, you know, let's be there. Let's be that support for each other, you know. So hit me up if you have any more questions. The internet is just a sea of info as it relates to this, so maybe you can try that too. If you have any questions, I don't see anyone having any questions on the feed. Okay. I see Miss Black. I see Miss Black is watching, right? Also share the information. Yes. Someone said Maria said share the information with your mates. I'm seeing the comments. And that is very important because the men, they don't know what's going on either. So you don't know what's going on with yourself. They don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, you're irritated with them all the time. You're raging. You're having these rages. And that is something that is documented. You know, you're having these rages. You're very irritable. And go figure, right? If you're not sleeping at night, of course, you're going to be irritable. So, I mean, I see Miss Williams, Eleanor Williams. Yes, thank you for taking the time to watch. Knowledge is wealth, knowledge is power. So share this video, ladies. I think I'm going to do a few more videos this coming year, God's willing, on this topic as I continue to go through my own journey of perimenopause. I mean, between me and you, I asked God, look, I mean, I'm ready to be done, pretty much. It looks, for me, it's been going on, I think, for about 4.5, 5 years now. So whenever he's ready, you know, I'm done with my childbearing years. I'm ready for that to happen. But in the meanwhile, in between time, got to figure out how to get through the days and got to figure out how to cope. And that's what I'm here to really encourage us to do. Figure out how to cope, educate ourselves, okay? So, ladies, you're not going crazy. That's what I'm here to tell you, okay? You're not going crazy. All this weird stuff that's happening in your body, there is a reason. Like the old people say, chances are you're going through the change. So, you know, take a deep breath, educate yourself, and let's just try our best to embrace this next, you know, section of our lives. So, we're not 20 anymore, and this is where we are. And lastly, I'm going to say to you, as with everything, God is able. With Him, everything is possible. This is no different. He is concerned about not only the big things, and this is a huge thing. He is concerned with everything in our lives. And I encourage you, as I encourage myself, to use your faith, read your word. In fact, during this time, read what you need. Read your scriptures of healing. Read your scriptures of promises from God. You know, read your scriptures about the plans that God has for you. In all thy ways, acknowledge Him. Just serve Him. Read your word. Pray. Bring this before His table as well. Use your faith to help get you through. Okay? Now, we know that faith without works is dead. So I'm not just saying that's all you do. You know, you may need to use the wisdom that He's imparted to doctors. You may need to use Google. You may need to use a friend. And I find that speaking to some older ladies are really, really helpful because they have been where we are. And a lot of them can really sit down and tell you exactly what has happened. I'm very grateful for the one or two that spoke to me and that actually said, listen, you know, you're going to be okay, baby. You're going to be okay. You're going through the change. So that is something that I really, really needed to hear and continue to need to hear, because some days, no joke, it's crazy up in here. So on that note, you all hear my husband in the back there, eh? Say, tell me about it. But anyway, he's not wrong, because when we, you know, women are the backbone of the family. Most of us, we are the managers, the CEOs of our households, and when we're not well, the house is not well. So, you know, this is something that affects our mates, affects our children, affects our friendships. It affects all and everyone around us. So it's really important that we try to strive to be as emotionally well and as physically well during this period of perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause as we can. So until next time, this is Chrishna Bowe with Woman to Woman. Real talk, ladies, real talk. I'm going to come back with some more information. I think we're going to have a couple of shows that are going to focus on menopause and some of the things that we can do to help ourselves get through it. So, love and light, people. Love and light, my brothers and sisters. Bye.